What does faithfulness look like? There's a story of faithfulness told in the book of Daniel. The book of Daniel opens with Daniel being taken away as a prisoner of war because judgment had come upon his nation. And so he had lost everything. He was taken away from his home. He was taken away from his country. He was being exiled to a foreign land as a prisoner. And despite his circumstances, what was his primary concern? Despite losing everything, imagine losing everything and being taken away to a foreign land. What was his primary concern? Was it survival? No, it wasn't survival. Was it to look better than the rest of the men who were taken away with him so that he can stay ahead of the pack? No, that wasn't his primary concern. Was it to adopt the new culture in Babylon so that he can survive in this new setting right now? No, that wasn't his primary concern. What was his primary concern was how not to defile himself. How not to defile himself with the royal food and remain faithful to his God. That was his primary concern. You see, wherever he went, whatever situation he was in, his internal convictions would not let him go. His internal convictions was how to remain faithful to his God, how not to defile himself. He could have thought, I've been faithful to God all these years. And look, now I've lost everything. Where has faithfulness gotten me? Where has that taken me? I've remained faithful to God all these years, and now he has no country, he has no home, he has lost everything. But see, despite his circumstances, despite where he was, Daniel chose to remain faithful. This first story in the book of Daniel reminds us that whatever circumstances and situations we are in, we must remain faithful. Even when things don't go right, even when things don't go according to the way that we think that they will go. But because God is bigger than all our circumstances, than all our situations. And because of that, we must be faithful. You see, in Daniel's case, he chose to be faithful, and the God that is above all circumstances granted him favor. And Daniel became a blessing not only to Babylon, but also to the nations beyond. Because God was with him, and God granted him that favor in a foreign land as a result. The word of the Lord in Daniel reminds us today that we need to continue to be faithful. Whatever situation that we're in, we must remember that there is no situation that is out of his hand. We must remain faithful. So what does faithfulness look like for us? In the case of Daniel, faithfulness meant not to defile himself. That's what it meant in his situation. But for each one of us, faithfulness will look different. For some of us, faithfulness could mean that in this season, right now, let's press in our walk with him. Let's read our Bible daily. Let's have a daily time to commune with him. For others, perhaps faithfulness means not to defile yourself with online pornography. Or perhaps faithfulness means trusting him in a situation that seems hopeless. What does faithfulness look like for us today? So let's go before the Lord. Let's make that intentionality to continue to be faithful, all the more in a season like this.